Plami, and in this episode of Plami's Thoughts On, I'm gonna be sharing my thoughts on the 5th episode of the second and final season of The Walking Dead World Beyond. And this one was a much of an improvement compared to the previous episode, which, as I said in the last video, wasn't necessarily the worst episode or anything, it just was incredibly boring because it was a catch-up filler episode. This one, on the other hand, was actually kind of moving the plot forward in some major ways. Because the plot of this episode as a whole was that they were going to be sneaking into the CRM to get Hope and Leo out properly, because even though Hope was already out of the CRM facility, she couldn't stay out forever. She had to come back eventually, otherwise they would have found out that Huck took her there, and that probably that the perimeter was hiding in Will, Felix, Iris, and everybody. So they couldn't have let her stay, so they let her and Huck go back with the idea that they're going to sneak in and get them out together eventually. So the plan in this episode was that the leaders of the perimeter were going to take Felix, Iris, and I think it's actually, it was intended to be only Felix and Iris, because they are the only people the CRM would be looking for, because as far as even Huck knew, Elton wasn't with them, neither was Percy, so they were going to be the only ones being taken by the leaders of the perimeter to the CRM as a way to be less suspicious than just walking up to the facility, and as a way to kind of give more confidence to the alliance that the CRM has with the perimeter, where they have an agreement where the perimeter would be keeping people away from the CRM facilities. So by taking Felix and Iris, who they obviously shouldn't know who they are, and taking them to the CRM, that's what they're doing. And now when you think about it, with them doing that, I think it's very likely that at different points, whenever they found people around their community who were very close to the CRM facility, it's very likely that the perimeter people have been taking them to the CRM, and the CRM has afterwards experimented on them. Because I think I mentioned in one of my reviews of some of the earlier episodes this season that the perimeter in a way kind of stands in for an explanation of a lot of the actions that Jadis's community, the trash people from season 8 of the main show, were doing, because they were also people who were dealing with the CRM, very likely hiding some kind of a facility or something nearby, because we did have those hidden rooms for the trash people to live in. We don't know if all of them live like that, or maybe it was just Jadis. It's not necessarily clear, but it's clear that the community as a whole was hiding something. And it's very fitting that I'm bringing this up, because at the end of the episode, you never guess who showed up. I mean, if you watch the episode, you know, but you never guess who shows up. So yeah, as I was saying, the perimeter was very likely giving people to the CRM who the CRM ended up experimenting on, just like how Jadis, back in season 8 and season 9, she was taking people and giving them to walkers to be bitten, and then giving them to the helicopter people, and she obviously didn't manage to do it to anybody, and she ended up taking Rick with her to the CRM. And we actually, there's something that I really want to talk about, but that's going to be probably in the next episode's review, because I don't really want to bring it up right now, but yeah. So just like how Jadis and her people were giving people to be experimented on, the perimeter probably also did the same, although unknowingly in their case. So in this episode, they have a plan where they are going to get inside the CRM and get everybody out, and they also learn that Silas is also with the CRM and at that facility where they are killing walkers. They learn about that, so they kind of combine that into their plan as well. So we have them in the beginning of the episode going to that place where Silas is, and even meeting him and talking to him and making him buy into the plans of what they want to do, and use him as their escape vehicle, essentially, because once they ended up getting inside of the CRM facility and were and managed to get in touch with Leo and Hope, they decided that they were going to leave the CRM facility and go to Portland to warn them about what the CRM did to Omaha, because if you remember, there is an alliance between Omaha, the CRM, and Portland as the three biggest communities standing up right now. Why they have no alliance with the Commonwealth, we don't know, but it's been said by the showrunners, and I think Scott Gimple, that the Commonwealth and CRM are aware of each other's existence. So how would it make sense for the CRM to destroy one of their own allied communities with like 100,000 people, but not the Commonwealth, which has shit ton of people and less than Omaha? I don't know. I don't quite get, you know? I'm assuming that that's going to be kind of explained by the end of the season, but we'll see. So yeah, they sneak in, talk to Silas, and get him up to speed with everything and put him into their plan. So they talk to Silas, make him agree with them about what they're going to be doing, and later on they were given to the CRM by Indira and her people. But just as Felix and Iris were leaving, Percy, who together with Elton had decided that they were going to stay at the perimeter because obviously the CRM is not looking for them, so it doesn't matter where they are going to be like, and it's better to have people on the outside. Percy decides to go with Felix and Iris because he worries about what's going to happen to Iris, because she's being a little very rash and angry at the CRM, so she might end up getting herself killed. So he takes Elton's jacket, the corduroy jacket, and essentially pretends to be him for this episode. And it's interesting that the CRM doesn't realize that. I mean, I don't know, and I don't think there was ever a scene between Elton and General Kublik, so she wouldn't know how he looks like. But still, I'm a little surprised that actually they bought that he was Elton. But still, that's fine. Percy still feels a little bit like the one thing about the show that doesn't matter, or at least like he's not important in any way. He just feels like a love interest with a little bit more screen time than one would should be given, if you ask me. And don't get me wrong, I love Percy. I love Ted Sunderland. He's amazing in this role, and I love everything about Percy's character, but I just want him to be more important to the plot, and he is not exactly important. He has a vendetta against the CRM because Huck ended up killing his uncle, but besides that, his only other connection is the fact that he is essentially Iris's boyfriend. And I guess maybe that he doesn't really have anywhere else to go anyway because his uncle is dead, so might as well stick with these people, but yeah, I don't know. So we have a little bit of a threatening scene once Felix and Iris and Elton are taken in by the CRM. We have a little bit of a threatening scene with General Kublik kind of interrogating them about how they got there as a way to make sure that they're not spies and that the perimeter people haven't betrayed them. At least I feel like that's what the intent of the scene was. Because in that scene, General Kublik asks to see Felix's injury that Hook caused him, if you remember, back last season. And it's obviously bandaged up because, again, if you remember last season, they managed to find a whole place in the house that they were staying in that was completely full with medicine and anything one would need to patch themselves up, you know. And he explains that that's how he fixed himself up, and that the perimeter people had nothing to do with it. And that was a very tense scene because I was worried that Kublik was going to find out that Percy is not Elton, or that they were actually involved with the perimeter people, which she still might have, considering some of the things that happen in next episode, but I'm not really going to talk about that. A little bit of an underrated detail that I wasn't really planning on bringing up before trying to refresh my memory of this episode, because it has been a week since I watched the episode. So I decided to look through the episode to remind myself what happened in it, actually. But a little bit of an overlooked detail is some of the insight about the Civic Republic itself. and how it works that we got in this episode. And it's kind of like a very tiny moment in the episode as a whole, because it's just like one scene in which we see a newspaper with news about the Civic Republic. But we actually learn that the Civic Republic has been essentially under a military dictatorship for the last 10 years. That apparently is the agreement that the politicians had set up with the military. The military would be taking control of things for 10 years, so they can actually figure shit out and survive the fall of the world after the zombie apocalypse. But there's supposed to be a civilian oversight to it, and the military rule is supposed to end after 10 years. But for some reason, the CRM now wants to delay that end of rule. And that maybe kinda is going to play into why they did what they did at Omaha. Trying to create a threat in the form of the column of 100,000 walkers that supposedly took out Omaha, as a reason to why they should continue to rule the Civic Republic. And that is actually really fucking interesting. You know what would be cool? An actual show set in the Civic Republic. If we're not gonna get the movie with Rick any fucking time soon, like in the next like year or two, fucking do that, AMC. We fucking need that. Because that's a cool fucking explanation, you know? Like, I'm so much more interested now in the Civic Republic and its dealings. Like, it's these politics of the CRM that we've all wanted to know. And I was worried for the longest time that by the time they actually start explaining to us everything about the CRM, I wouldn't care, because this storyline has been building up since, what, season 7? Of the main show, which was in like 2006, was it 16? I think it might have been 17, but still it's like 4 or 5 years. At this point, anything that could be and end up being an explanation wouldn't be satisfying enough, but no, they're actually still managing to satisfy me. And I'm really curious to see what's gonna happen with that CRM stuff. Because, I mean, I thought it was just gonna be simple, like, authoritarian dictatorship or whatever, but there is apparently civilian government, and essentially the CRM, which is the Civic Republic military, is like a military junta that is wanting to control things. So definitely makes me more interested into the CRM as a villains. It does feel a little bit kind of like the Umbrella Corporation from Resident Evil, but I would still say that it's different enough, because as far as we know so far, the CRM aren't the ones who created the zombies, which I really hope they don't end up explaining that as that, because that would make it literally discount Umbrella Corporation, while now they're different enough. But yeah, there's that. And even later on in the episode, as I said in the last video, Huck has kind of now been shaken up about whether the CRM is actually doing good or not. So in this episode, she ends up sneaking inside her mom's office, I believe it was, and she looks through certain documents and she finds something interesting. A document that shows that because the CRM categorizes walkers. So some ones are categorized as test subjects, while other ones are categorized as the part of columns or whatever. And she ends up finding out that the walkers inside of Omaha are not categorized, are categorized as test subjects that the CRM is using. So that kind of shakes everything up, because she reveals that information to Hope's father Leo just as they were going to be leaving, because of everything that they learned about the CRM wanted to do, and them deciding that they wanted to go and warn Portland about what the CRM is doing. So that kind of causes a stop to their plans, which ends up with Silas getting caught by the CRM again, because his part of the plan was that he was going to take a truck from the culling place for walkers, the culling facility, and drive it to the CRM facility, wait at the back entrance essentially until everybody comes out, and they leave with that truck. But since everybody took too long and Leo was busy talking with Huck, they didn't show up, and Silas got captured again. And I'm curious what's gonna happen with that. They didn't kill him, but why would they keep him alive going forward? Like, why? Yeah, am I forgetting something else? So yeah, I guess essentially they decide in this episode that they're gonna stay behind to find out more about what the CRM is doing exactly, why did they take out Omaha, and maybe even stop it. So essentially at this point Huck is fully on to our side, as far as we can tell, because she wants to stop the CRM, because there's clearly something shady going on. And at the end of the episode, which is the post-credit scene, we have actually 2 cool reviews that I guess gives us a little bit more insight about the CRM. One being that, if you remember, there was a soldier last season. His name, I think, was Surgeon General Barca or something, who was feeling guilty about what they did at Omaha and the campus colony, and he was taken away by other CRM soldiers. We actually see him in this episode as a potential test subject, although it's not clear whether he's dead or not. Although, considering that in the trailer for season 2 we got to see somebody who is looking very similar to him, he is probably dead. And I'm pretty sure that the person that we see, the walker that we see in the trailer for the second season, is Barca and not Percy, although there's still the possibility. It's just that the walker looks very much like both of them. I just really hope it's not Percy, because I really like Percy and I wouldn't want him to die. But yeah, so that shows us that the CRM is very shady and even takes their own military people as test subjects. But why are they so adamant in working on them as test subject is what I'm kind of interested in. I want to see what the explanation to that is going to be. And the other reveal that we get at the end of the episode is fucking Jadis. I mean, yeah, we got her in the trailer, so we knew she was gonna show up eventually. I personally thought she was gonna show up earlier in the season, but we're halfway, so it's fine that she showed up in this episode, especially because I've already seen episode 6, and there's quite a lot of her in episode 6, so that's good. But apparently, she tells us that apparently General Kublik has been called back to the Civic Republic indefinitely, and that now she is gonna be the one to be running this CRM facility. So that pretty much confirms that this CRM facility is just like a main branch. It's like what the Sanctuary, Negan's place, was to the other outposts. That's just another of their main locations, like their main bases, compared to some other ones that they have, and compared to the main location of the Civic Republic. And we still don't know exactly what the Civic Republic is. My personal speculation, I think the Civic Republic is probably located in the UK. I don't know why, but I feel like that would be a cool explanation, that the Civic Republic is actually set in the UK, although it wouldn't necessarily make sense. But it's just like, when I hear the Civic Republic, specifically Republic, I imagine something very big. And it just wouldn't be believable to me if the Civic Republic is located anywhere in the northeast of the USA, because that's where Virginia is and where Alexandria is. So it would be really fucking unbelievable for our group on the main show to have never come across the Civic fucking Republic with like 100,000 people living in it. It just doesn't make sense. So I really hope they have a good explanation about that one. But yeah, we fucking have Jadis, and I can't wait to see more of her, especially after watching episode 6, which I can't wait to talk about as well. So yeah, overall, this was a really fun episode, and especially at the end with the tenseness of whether they're going to be able to leave the CRM facility, whether they're gonna get caught, and then learning that the CRM is even more insidious than we thought. it just really ramped it up a lot, and I was really excited to see the next episode, which I have at this point, and it was even better, honestly, in many ways. So I can't wait. I can't wait to talk about it, really. But yeah, in terms of a rating, for the last episode, I gave it, if I remember correctly, 7.4 out of 10. So for this one, I think I'm gonna give it an 8.1 out of 10. The beginning of the episode with Silas and them talking to Silas was still a little bit kind of boring and not much happening. But the rest of the episode, like, let's say, like, after the first third of the episode, it started to get really interesting. It's only the first part with Silas that was kind of not particularly interesting. It's not because Silas is a bad actor or I don't care about the character. It's just that whenever he's around, much doesn't seem to happen with him, you know? He seems to be a little bit of a filler character, in a way. Although not to the level of Percy is. And also, I forgot to mention a really cool shot that we had in the beginning of the episode with everybody killing one walker. That was actually part of the that shot that we got in the trailer with Percy killing a walker, and then Elton behind him killing another walker like a badass. And then we also had in the extended version of the shot in this episode Iris killing a walker, Will killing a walker, and Felix killing a walker, and that was really cool. I really like that. Although Elton is wearing very different clothes compared to what I'm pretty sure he was wearing in the trailer. Like, I thought he was dressed very differently in the trailer for the season than what was in this episode. I actually thought that shot was going to happen back in the episode featuring him and Percy alone, which was like, I think it was episode 3. But it didn't happen then, it happened now, which was still fine. I still really like that shot, it was really cool. And I'm really happy to see the main kid characters be killing walkers like badasses now. Like, it's really fucking cool. But yeah, pretty good episode. Things seem to be ramping up, and I'm really here for that. I can't wait to see what's more gonna happen. And I'm saying that even already seeing episode 6. So yeah, what did you guys think about this episode? Comment down below and let's have a discussion about it. And also, before we end this video, I just want to give a huge shout out to my currently 2 patrons on Patreon, Omari Bridgman and Deadpool. Thank you guys for your support, I really appreciate it, and I hope you keep supporting me going forward. And now, before we end this video, I just want to talk about something to you guys very quickly, which some of you may or may have not noticed before or know about me, that being the fact that I am trans. And yes, this may come as shocking to some of you because I don't really flaunt it that much on my channel, or at least I feel like I don't. Outside of like my K-pop reactions, which is where I feel like the most comfortable being myself like this. And yeah, I am in fact trans. I'm not necessarily full-on male to female, but I heavily want to transition to being pretty female. I do consider myself more non-binary though, or maybe gender fluid would be the best descriptor as well, because I do have occasional moments where I feel fine being like just a normal guy, but most of the time, like right now, I do feel very dysphoric. And that's why I'm asking you guys for any help that you can give me, because my situation right now, I don't really see any way outside of you guys' help. Because, and this is gonna be kept short and concise, I live with my parents. They're never going to accept me as a trans person. They just never will. And as a matter of fact, back when I started the YouTube channel, I was actually kind of slightly starting my transition back then, with like starting to grow out my hair. I even got to DIY HRT, but because my parents started noticing certain things, like my behavior had changed a lot and my clothes had changed a lot, I kind of had to stop doing that because they were constantly nagging me about cutting my hair and just started to kind of be threatening in a certain way, and felt like they were ashamed of me and everything, and that just kind of that kind of stress just tired me out to the point where I just gave up. But as dysphoria goes, it just doesn't go away, you know. I still feel like this, and in fact it's somewhat been intensifying again recently, so I just wanted to share this with you guys. And again, I would really appreciate any amount of support you can give me in regards to this, because I just don't see any way out of this. Because even if I moved out of my parents' house and got myself a job and everything, that's just not gonna work for long-term planning, because once I transition, it's like I probably will not be able to get myself a job, because my country is very transphobic. Nobody gives a shit about LGBT people at all. So there's not even much I can do even in terms of transitioning here. So yeah, I don't know. I just would appreciate any amount of support you can give me, be it monetarily or in any way otherwise. And this is not about boosting my channel or anything, or guilt-tripping you with my sob story. I just wanted to get this off my chest and make my subscribers aware of the situation that I am in, and that I would appreciate anything that you guys can help me out with. It would mean literally everything. Like, for example, a friend that I made after starting this YouTube channel, my good friend Yuri, has been helping me out a lot, and I genuinely might have not been here if it wasn't for him showing up and befriending me. So yeah, this just went a little bit longer than I intended, but I would just really appreciate anything you can support me with. That's kind of ultimately what I'm trying to say. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, please leave a like and subscribe. Also, check out in the description to my Twitter if you want to follow me over there, and to my Wattpad where I post my stories, because in addition to doing all these videos on my channel, I'm also a writer. And if you don't enjoy my stories, or you simply enjoy my videos, you can head over to Patreon, where you can pledge support and help keep the channel going. Help support me so I can keep writing the stories you enjoy. You can also support me on Ko-fi, which is more of like a one-time thing, so it's up to you whether you want to go there or to my Patreon. Or maybe alternatively you don't want to support me monetarily at all, which is fine. You can still help me out in other ways, like liking this video, subscribing to the channel, and especially sharing this video with somebody who you think might enjoy it. And I think it's pretty much it for this video, so hopefully I'm gonna see you in the next one. Bye!